So Neil Druckmann has a new message for all you quote-unquote internet haters out there, and I can't decide which I dislike more, the person saying this stuff or the media that backpats it. So we're going to talk about both. So hey there, now before we get started, really briefly, this is our second comic, link is in the description. We have 12 days and change left on our extension for this. We could use help getting the word out because both comics have been a success, but we can't get any help from mainstream media because we talk about things like this. So more on this at the end of the video. So when it comes to this sideshow brought to you by GameStop that we're going to look at, the thing that irritates me the most is the bold-faced lie to it. I mean, Neil Druckmann, he's going to tell you basically that when you create something popular, people are going to hate it for its popularity, and there's nothing that can be done about it. Now, there's two problems with that idea. Number one, we know the reality of what transpired with Neil Druckmann going out of his way to support DMCA claims against YouTubers like Hill versus Babyface, like Just Some Guy, like Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. I mean, trying to take those people down, and in some instances, actually taking people off platforms like Twitter. We also know that they went after memes, because the memes, they're terrible. They did everything they could to silence people that were talking about this thing in a negative way. Secondly, you have Neil Druckmann poisoning that proverbial well, just like GameStop does when they utilize words like quote-unquote internet haters. You have Druckmann talking about criticism versus the quote-unquote more vile stuff and utilizing his team or cast members as deflection shields. Quote, I think you have to create some separation to say, we made this game, we believe in this game, we're proud of this game. Now it's out there and it's like whatever reaction people have, whether they like it or not, that's fair. That's their reaction and you don't fight that. He should have stopped right there. That is the end-all, be-all. But he continues here. The other thing with the more hateful stuff, the more vile stuff, that's a little harder. It's especially harder when I see it happening to team members or cast members who play a particular character in the game. Now, personally, I think that all of that is a sales ploy, just like everything else, because the reality of The Last of Us Part 2, quote, it isn't for everyone. So you had Neil Druckmann come out early on and say some of the fans of the original game are not going to like this game, and they're not going to like where it goes, and they're not going to like what it says or the fate of the characters that they love. He knew that he had a problem out there. So how do you go out and fix this problem? Well, you shut down people commenting. You start talking about the reason that they comment as being vile. You talk about them being bullies online. You get the media involved and they give you perfect scores. Then Neil Druckmann doubles down on this while giving you one of the biggest lies out there. The thing I try to do is ignore it as much as I can. I think we've already covered that portion. He also talks about talking to the proper authorities. And I wonder, who are the proper authorities? Are we talking about contacting the police? Are we talking about contacting Twitter to DMCA people or say Reddit to DMCA people? Because again, you can't have people out there criticizing aspects of a character. Quote, we have an actor. She's been getting really awful, vile stuff because of a fictional character she's playing in a game. I just have a hard time wrapping my mind around it. The thing I try to do is ignore it as much as I can. When things escalate to being serious, again, I wonder what being serious means. There are certain security protocols that we take, and I report it to the proper authorities. Again, I wonder if that is code for taking people down with the DMCA. Then you just try to focus on the positives and focus on distracting yourself with other stuff. But it's kind of just the reality. It's kind of just the reality. Now, what's interesting about this is GameStop, in trying to defend this behavior, pretty much lets us in on why things are going forward like this. It's because Neil Druckmann is in talks with HBO wanting a TV version of The Last of Us. Quote, I've had a lot of conversations with him talking about the Chernobyl writer here about this stuff. He articulated it pretty well. It's like people have to get educated. This is kind of the cost. When you're doing something big and you might disappoint the fans, there is a cost to it now, which is you're going to get a certain level of hate, a certain level of vitriol that you just have to deal with. There is no other way to make it go away. Now, what's really telling about this approach is that, well, you have Neil Druckmann shutting down conversation while pretending that he's open to it. You have places like CNET that don't even pretend that they're not going out and saying that you're some kind of istophobe. I mean, look at the article here. Look at the picture represented, and you tell me what this article is trying to tell you. Why The Last of Us Part 2 is getting internet hate. I wonder. Those articles, too, they don't even bother to camouflage what they're trying to say. I mean, you can see this here. Commentary, the much-anticipated sequel, is getting plenty of 0 out of 10 reviews that you don't need to pay attention to. Let's look at what it's saying here. Sure, between a gay female protagonist and an ethnically diverse set of characters, The Last of Us 2 had the hallmarks of a game that would provoke one of the internet's most sensitive, volatile segments. But I'm naively thought that the game was absorbing, thrilling, and even profound enough to blanch some of the predicted vitriol. So, of course, all of the blowback is because of buzzwords. All of the blowback is because of the way that we have descriptors. And, well, if you do that, you're part of that vile segment versus the segment that truly knows how to review products. Now, we've seen what exactly they consider acceptable critical reviews, and they look a lot like this. 103 positive reviews, 8 mixed reviews, but no negative whatsoever. That's right. We have all of these freaking 100s in there. I'm not saying everyone giving a 100 is somehow biased in this too, but the problem that you run into is part of the sales pitch that we've been given. It wasn't about the game at all. In fact, it's about all of these other things that we're hearing, and yeah, that influences places like The Guardian for sure. You can't tell me that it doesn't. Now, on the other side of this, we've been told that all of these numbers here, they are involved in review bombing. You know, we've been told by Neil Druckmann and Friendly Media. And this right here, that's not people review bombing. Nope, that right there, that's just criticism. Let's look at a little bit of this review bombing, just to give you an idea of what wrong thinkers look like. It breaks my heart to write this, but I really did not expect such a poor story after all these years of waiting. While there are a few genuinely good moments, majority of the game's filled with plot holes. It just took elements of what worked in the first game without understanding what made them compelling. It seems like this game was done by another studio, but it's not. The basic gameplay has stayed the same for better or worse. Environmental puzzles are almost gone, so remove the story from the table and you're left with shallow gameplay that will have you looking for some other game. What a monster out there. What a monster indeed. Yeah, that's just hateful content, isn't it? Here's another one, a 0. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. I waited 5 years to play this, and they gave me a horrible intro and a bleep ending. I just want to forget about this game. Yeah, very much so in that. Here's another one at a 4. The franchise is all about the story. Without the story, the game means nothing. This game does have great visuals and great gameplay, but the main focus needs to be the story. The story just isn't good, and it tries too hard to make you feel sorry for people you immediately don't want to feel sorry for. And the ending tries so hard to make you feel sad without making any logical sense. Oh, man, what a monster there, too. This game is a living statement that money doesn't solve all problems. Graphics, great. Truly impressive. Story, trash. Character development, trash. Character relationship development, trash. Gameplay, straight out of 2013. And honestly, all these game critics who gave this game a 10 out of 10 are shooting themselves in the foot. Here's another one. What a monster here. Neil Druckmann says on his video on Indie YouTube channel, he was crying in the end of the playthrough. Now I can see why, because they're saying that it stinks there at the ending. Remember too, that the people that want easy buttons for all of their games, they're the ones that are being honest out there. They're giving you an honest appraisal, but the people out there that are giving you negative reviews, quote, While there are some honest players who simply didn't like The Last of Us Part 2's story direction, so there are a few of you out there that aren't monsters, but many of the people tanking the game's score on Metacritic or tweeting abuse on Twitter aren't interested in an honest appraisal. This is obvious of the thousands of people spouting anti-woman or anti-gay bigotry, but it's also true of the thousands more who claim to be offended by the bait-and-switch Joel's death represents, but are who unlikely to have played enough of the game to see where that road leads. I'll tell you, many people would have gone out and they would have seen where this road leads, but the guy who's telling us that he's ignoring all of this stuff, he's ignoring all of the controversy, yeah, he made the decision for them. How did he do that? Because he started DMCA striking people. He started letting people be called bigots and phobes. He talks about how vile and terrible they are. He wants to shut them down. He wants to treat them like trash, but still buy my product. But anyway, you tell me what you think about this stuff. I think it says plenty. I think it says plenty about the person and on. But again, you tell me what you think. So to close, we're creating our second comic book, Another Case for the Littlest Umbrella. We could use your help. The first one was really well received. You can look up reviews. This one is going to be even better. This is how we go out. We make things work too. We don't go and say we're going to ignore criticism. We listen to criticism. That's how we got better. We try to challenge a mainstream in that too. And we won't treat you this way. We want to create a good product and we want to remain professional. Join us in that. We can either keep complaining about this while shoveling our money that way, or we can go in a different direction. Help us create different directions in our mediums here. Let me say, too, to end, thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. You empower all these endeavors. Not enough people say that. So, thank you. Appreciate you. We'll do it again soon.